Hallelujah. There we go. You want to take that off? Okay. All right. God is good. Man, there is wisdom in the room. Not just at this table. I'm talking about collectively. Wisdom in the room. And I love this. I was telling the ladies in the back room that sometimes might have heard it said that, women can't work together because stuff always comes up. There's always drama. But you know what? We're proving them wrong just by being here today. It's not about competition, right? It's about collaboration, and that's what we're doing here. So I hope you guys really dial in. Now, if you have your cell phones out, I hope it's because maybe you're jotting down your questions that you want to ask. Or you might want to send, if you hear something good, you might want to send a quick tweet, a quick status update. So that's all right if you do that, but come on back because we want everybody to be present with us. Is that all right? Okay. I am so excited. We have some powerful women here at the panel, and I know you've got the program, and there are some bullet points about their background. But if it's all right with you, I would just like to have them introduce themselves. I want you to hear their voices. I want you to hear their enthusiasm. I want you to hear their passion. I want you to see the glow in their eyes. So, ladies, here's what I want you to do. Talk to us about who you are, why you felt it was important for you to be here, for you to accept the invitation. Tell us why that was important for you. And yes, ma'am, I'm going to start with you. oh, you got your own. All right.
Oh, we'll see if it's working.
All right. Yes, everybody check and make sure that...
I may not need it. Turn it on. Is it on?
Oh, they say I'm on, so I'm going to pass this one to you.
Good morning.
Amen.
I'm Kenitha Johnson Krangle. I am the HR manager for a lab in the Itasca, Illinois area. It was important for me to be here today, number one, because I got the invitation from my friend. The second reason it was important to me is because as we're talking about climbing the corporate ladder, understanding that if we're climbing a ladder, we have to do it rung by rung. We have to take a step at a time, which means that we can't go beyond God, which means that we need to do it methodically. We have to do it strategically, and that's why I believe that we're here today, so that we can give you some nuggets, and you can give us some nuggets on how do we climb this thing one step at a time, line upon line, precept upon precept.
That's good. That's good. Amen. Thank you.
How am I supposed to go after that? Anita? My name is Nikita Burrell. I actually work with Trina now, and the reason I'm here is because of this young woman right here. I have a lot of respect for her for what she's done in the workplace where I work, the fact that she has a lot of managing up to do. Total respect for her. I actually work as the director of finance at McCormick Foundation and Cantini Park. So I basically, in the back office, behind the scenes, making sure everything runs smoothly, or my team does, actually. And the reason that I think that this is so important is because a lot of times as women in general and women of color, we often find ourselves alone. We don't have to be. So I think this is important to make sure that we know that we can work collaboratively and figure out ways to do that.
Yes.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Beverly Pollard, and the reason I'm here is because Trina asked, and another reason, this is my church. So, and when they ask, I respond. My pastor is not here, but he knows that he could count on me.
Oh, what a blessing.
And I just thank God to be here today. You know, I've been in the industry for a long time, and I just feel that I need to share and help others to come up alongside with me. I didn't get up there by myself, and so I want to bring some more with me before I leave. And you know, pastor has been preaching about legacy, our senior pastor, all the pastors, and I think it's important that I leave a legacy behind.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
good. That's good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my name is Anne Marie Edwards, and of course, just like everybody else, Trina asked. And but more importantly, because I believe that I don't have to say yes to everything. I'm okay with no. But I said yes to this. I came out of hibernation, so right now I'm working on my comprehensive exam. So if you finish coursework, you do your comps, and then you can do a dissertation. And so I'm in hibernation mode trying to get that accomplished. But I thought it was important, number one, because I'm a career changer. So I started out my career in hospitality, in the hospitality industry, and then decided, God decided that I needed to be in higher education. And so I came to higher education. And so as of now, I serve as a career counselor at Northern Illinois University. And I am in that, what they call millennial generation. Have you heard of that? Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's important for us to represent, because people say all kinds of stuff about millennials. Mm-hmm. And, we don't stick with careers. If we don't like our job, we leave. But I think it's even more than that. And I think it's important to have that awareness of why we leave and what we are searching for in that leave. And so I thought it was important just to have, because representation matters. Mm-hmm. Representation matters, and I felt like it was important for me to be here knowing that I was somewhere until 2 a.m. and then I was here, and then I'm going to be somewhere tonight overnight, because they know me. And I'm a member of Wheaton Christian Center, Aurora, amen? And they know I will get up and take a trip so it's a lot of traveling going on at this point in April. So, but it was important for me to be here this morning to speak on this panel. So, amen. Thank you for having me.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And so I am going to join the chorus of folks that are here just because Trina asked. But the thing about your asking is the heart that it comes from.
Yes.
This woman works hard. She is committed, dedicated, and devoted to Christ.
Yes.
And her life speaks volumes. And so I think the fact that you were able to just reach out into your network and everybody said, of course I'll come. That's awesome. So thank you for putting this together. So I want to salute you. Salute you for that. And so now I want to, let's turn our attention on them. Let's gauge who's in the room. Is there anybody who has work experience 3 years or less? Let me see your hands, because I want to know if we have any emerging or aspiring professionals in the house. 3 years or less. Okay, so it looks like everybody is seasoned. More than 5 years in the workplace. And even if you work in ministry, that is a workplace. So don't feel like, oh, I don't have a secular corporate job. Ministry is work. And where you do it, that is the workplace. So I hear some people saying, yeah, it's work. Yes, it is. So more than 5 years. More than 5. Keep your hand up if you have more than 10. Ooh, more than 20. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna stop right there. So apparently we are talking to people who are seasoned professionals, and that's why I said there's wisdom in the room. Even if there were emerging and aspiring professionals, there's still wisdom in the room, but these ladies are seasoned. So this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. All right, now keep me honest, because I can see the clock without my glasses. With my glasses, not so much without, so keep me honest, or if you just see me slipping them on, looking back there, just help me. It's all right. Okay, let's jump in. When it comes to women's issues in the workplace, here recently, there's been a lot of stuff bubbling to the surface. A lot of stuff regarding inappropriate behavior, favoritism. When it comes to women, work-life imbalance is often what we are experiencing. I want to pose a question to this one's for everybody or whosoever feels like jumping in. Talk to me about a time when you may have experienced one of these issues or another issue, and how did your faith inform you in terms of how you would respond or not respond? I'll give you a minute to think about that. I mean, this is what's in the paper today, right? And it's in every genre, from entertainment to sports to DC, government, even to the church. Unfortunately, it's come to the church, and it's this whole Me Too thing started, and it really was a shocker and an eye opener when even people in the church started to raise their hand and say, I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've been a victim. So I thought we should talk about that.
Right. I would like to say that I've experienced favoritism on the negative side. And at pretty much almost all of my jobs. And so one of the ways that I deal with things like that is I try to keep my communication very open and very honest. Because my thought is if you can't handle where I'm coming from, I probably don't need to be there. In order to stay grounded, I meditate daily and I pray daily. It helps me to remember whose I am, and knowing that when I step outside of my sanctuary or my home, that I'm still going to be okay. Yes. And I think that's really key.
That's good. That's good. Anybody else want to speak to that?
I think for me, in my workplace, I do wake up at 4 a.m. and I start praying. I ride the train because I work downtown in Chicago, so I have like 45 minutes to continue to pray and prepare myself before I get into the office. And so my area, even in my office, there's scriptures, there's word about God. So everybody at my workplace know who I am and whose I am. I'm not embarrassed about that. And all the signs, I have big posters and pictures and little post-its everywhere. And whenever someone come to me, that's where we start. I also have a prayer team, and we pray every Friday morning at 8 o'clock for our office. And we cover all the leadership, all the way down to all the employees. So it's 4 of them. There's one minister, he's a guy, and then there's 3 women. But we cover the office every week.
Anybody else?
One of the ways that I've learned to deal with favoritism in the workplace, and I believe that at some point we've all fallen, into that category. But I've also learned that I will not let intimidation shut my mouth. Because what happens oftentimes is things will happen and they will, it's used as a tactic to shut you down. And I refuse to allow the enemy to use the spirit of intimidation to shut my mouth, because I've come to understand that if I open wide my mouth, that God will fill it. So, and in doing so, I take an opportunity to put the Post-it notes around. I take the opportunity to be open, with dealing with senior leaders. And particularly when you're dealing with senior leaders, you're going to find that, sometimes they have this idea that they're here and you are there. It doesn't matter that you're on the same playing field with them. It doesn't matter that you may have the same degree that they have. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. But I've come to understand that I was put here for a reason. And the reason may just be you. So if that reason is you, the reason I'm here, then it's my goal and it's my objective. So when you shoot your best shot, that I'm coming out as pure gold, because I know that nothing you do to me or try to do to me is going to prosper. And because I know that and who I am and whose I am, it gives me the ability to stand tall in my faith, because I believe God. And I believe God even for them. And I'll take it a step further. There are times when I will anoint my hands and lay hands on their desks, lay hands on their doors, walk around the building and lay hands and pray, and believe God that he's going to change even them. And then I will lay that to my charge. God, I did something for you. Hallelujah.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And what I hear these ladies saying, oh, did I go out again? Okay. All right. What I hear these ladies saying is, I was on? Okay. It starts up here, right? Yeah. Everything starts up here with your mindset. And you really do have to know who you are and whose you are. And I have been guilty of feeling intimidated in the presence of some people, different cultures, different ethnic groups, different higher up in the hierarchy in the organizational structure. And I can remember there were times, unlike you, I would shrink back. I would hold back. And I realize now that that was really a disservice, not only to me, but to them. Right. There was a disservice to them. There was value in what I would have said had I taken the opportunity, because sometimes they don't give it to you.
Right.
Sometimes you do have to just step in, stop asking for a seat at the table, just go sit down.
Take it.
Just go sit down, but when you sit down, make sure you're bringing value.
That's it. Yep.
It's about the value that you
exactly
bring.
Right.
So you have to know who you are and get settled in that. And I have found, at least, in my case, it's not a one and done. Would you guys agree? Sometimes, that confidence, it will ebb and flow, depending on what's going on, depending on what you're dealing with. But you have to find a way for yourself to get in your sweet spot and dig your heels in and stay there. And no matter what anybody else is saying, you know your abilities, you know your capabilities. You're there for a reason. And in so doing, we honor God. In so doing, we demonstrate our faith. I don't believe anything demonstrates faith like a job well done. Praise God. All right. I want to take a step back, if you would. Anne Marie, let's start with you.
Okay. Let me listen in.
Tell us about your spiritual journey and how you've gotten where you are, soon to be Dr. Anne Marie. I know it's probably not been a straight line from A to Z. It might have been some zigs and zags, but talk a little bit about your spiritual journey.
Wow, y'all come with some deep questions. Come on today.
Well, the ladies are here because they want some good, solid nuggets.
So yeah, this has been an interesting journey. I have to go. I'm a person that I study cultural motivation. So I believe that there are we are motivated to do some of the things that we do, especially educationally, because of who is behind us, our parents, family, community. And so I'm first generation, and what's interesting, I'm first generation college, sort of, and I'll speak to that. But spiritually, I remember as a kid, I grew up in an AME church that was my mother's church, and I remember getting saved a million times. On the street, one of my cousins came up to me one time and prayed all of these things. Now, mind you, I was not going to church. I didn't really get solid in my spiritual walk until I got to undergrad. But it was like God was chasing me. It was like, I'm going to keep coming for you. And so I remember one day in high school, I'd had, a breakdown or something, because I am self-admittedly perfectionist, even though that's such an unrealistic goal to have of yourself. I'm that person that I strive to do it right. And if I can't do it right, why am I doing it? And I remember I had a breakdown for some reason, some things that were going on. And a classmate in the middle of my high school hallway was like, we're going to pray right now. We just get down on your knee. We're going to pray. And I remember just doing it in the middle of this hallway and in a high school. And I had a big high school. And I just in the middle. And from that moment, I think my spiritual journey started. It really started. And then when I got to college, there was just all of these interceptions that were happening. I remember at one point, my hair, so I went to I was living in a predominantly white area, and they didn't really have like hairdressers like that. And I remember I looked up a church. I was like, I'm just gonna go to this church, whatever. But there was a hairdresser in that church, and she said to me, I'm gonna make you this promise. She did my hair one time, and she said, I'm gonna make you this promise. You need to get your hair done every week, and I will have you pay every week, and then every other week I will do your hair for free. And she did that until I graduated from graduate school. That is 6 years. And her level taught me so much in my spiritual journey about giving, about receive. It catapulted me. And I think that very instance is why, even on today, I will say every experience that I had in my life has prepared me spiritually to be in the office. And so in the office that I'm in, which is I'm a career counselor. I'm the only woman of color in my office. I'm oftentimes hearing stories of brokenness and hurt and all this. So I have to be spiritually prayed up. So when I tell people my prayer game has to be tight, I can't come in here and work with y'all if I'm not prayed up. My office has like just all kinds of scriptures. We're playing gospel music. If you hear it up and down the hallway, the lady next door to me, who I know does not have a relationship, she one day said to me, I knew you weren't feeling well because I didn't hear no music coming from your office, and I didn't hear any singing. And I was like, wow, God, I'm the salt of the earth, even in this desolate place. Yeah. And so I think that that's a little bit of my spiritual walk and how I've kind of maintained it. But I even have to maintain that in the classroom. You know what I mean? I can't go in a classroom and not have God. And I believe that. Like, God is with me all the time. And I listen to podcasts. And so in one podcast, I heard a person say, if you knew who was walking with you, like if you just accepted that Christ was walking with you, why would you fear anything? You could walk through it. You can do anything. And it changed my mindset, because I'm like, man, they don't like me. They talk about me. They say this. And some just said, well, they talked about Jesus and they nailed him to a cross. So what do you think is going to happen to you? And it's okay. That just means that as many times as you get knocked, I may get knocked down 9 times, but on the 10th time, I'm still get up. And that is a testament to my spiritual journey, my spiritual soundness. And if y'all don't know Pastor Jackson, he don't play with it. You're going to be spiritually sound if you go to this church. And I had to learn discipline. Yes, Lord. Spiritual discipline. Yes,
we're going to talk.
Okay.
That's good.
So I think that's a little bit of my spiritual journey.
That is
Did I
awesome.
answer your question?
You did. Something you said in there beside the discipline part, we're going to come back to that, but you talked about a woman that helped you. Yeah. Man, oh man, can you guys think all of the divine connections, all of the people that God brings across your path. Amen. Sometimes it's just for a season. Yeah. Yes. And sometimes they come and, they stay for a lifetime. But God knows how to get us what we need. Yes. He knows how to get us in a position where we can learn those things. You talked about giving and receiving and things like that. So I want to talk about support, mentors, coaches, sponsors, advocates. Nikita, in your own journey, who's been maybe not the most, but a significant contributor in your career growth? Christian or no?
I would have to say it's my husband. He is probably my biggest cheerleader. And we do make a great team. My personal love language isn't words of affirmation, that's his. Mine is actually physical touch and quality time. However, every so often, you deal with things at work, or I've dealt with things at work, and I'm like, for instance, yesterday, I texted him, I said, today was a bad day. He was like, do you need to talk? And I text back, I said, yeah. Within 5 minutes, I got a phone call from him. He said, what's going on? What's going on? Talk to me about it. And then as I started telling him about my day, normally I will tell him, look, I just want to vent, or I need some help. So today I was like, I need some help. And he was like, okay. first of all, understand that you've done a great job. You're doing just fine. You explain yourself on Monday, you're going to make it okay. He is my biggest cheerleader. I love that man to death because whenever I've come across issues and things, things that I've had to deal with, either in the workplace or outside of the workplace, he's there beside me 100%. I love that. And that's huge. I also have a friend who doesn't work in my industry, but she always, I look at all of my relationships as teaching moments, or basically each of those people as teachers. Even if it's a relationship that I don't necessarily want, they're still teachers. So, but she actually, I like her, she's my friend, but she's taught me how to be a kinder person. And that's helped me in my career because a lot of times I'm about the goal and getting it done. My thing is if you're not helping, you're in the way, so scoot to the side. She reminds me, this is like everybody has a purpose, regardless. So, within everybody there's God, there's spirituality. So she's helped remind me to stay focused on that. And so just because somebody isn't doing something the way that you want to do it, per se, there's still some good there, and look for that. I think it's very important. So.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So Nikita, you bring up that whole aspect of self-awareness. Yes. I had a aha moment myself in self-awareness because I realized that, and maybe there's somebody out here that's like me, I really enjoy working with people that come with their own batteries, if you know what I mean. I don't want to have to pull and coax and beg and plead to get you to do what you already said you were going to do.
Praise
right?
God.
I just had that aha. It's like, oh, I really don't do my best work when I have to work with folk like that. I have to shift my approach. And I could recognize patterns even from when I was in middle school, the same sorts of things when folks want to know, well, what should I do now? And what should I do next? And what do you think? And it would frustrate me because it was very plain and obvious to me what they should do, what the next step would be, but they didn't know. And so just here recently, and I'm the mom of 2 teenagers, it's taken me this long to figure out that, that's an area that I need to grow in. That's a development area for me. So this topic of self-awareness, Beverly, I think I'm coming to you with this. And you, oh my goodness, you guys saw her 40 plus years of experience in the insurance, in one industry. Wow. One industry, that is phenomenal. Yes. And so I'm sure you've learned some lessons in self-awareness. Tell us how you have intentionally, or if you have, gone about learning more about yourself. It could be your management style or learning what environment you thrive best in. Just give us some insight into how you did it and what we might be able to do.
For me, whenever I come into my jobs, in my whole career, I've worked for 3 companies, same insurance industry. When I come into the job, I do not believe one size fits all. Right. Ever. And so when I walk in, the HR person or the manager that's introducing me will give me a list of everybody that's going to be working for me and telling me everything about them, and most of the time it's the bad stuff. Right? Yep. And like I always say, the manager will come and go, but the employees usually stay. So I never feel that it's always 100% the employee. So I take the time to learn each person, and I have my own conversation. So even the list that I have, it's there and I put it to the side, but they're going to know me and I'm going to know them, and then we'll work from there. In my world, I told them my title means nothing. So I pray that one day they will take titles down off of offices, because some people get intimidated by coming in because of the title and this person, I can't go in there. Yes, you can. And I always tell my team, I am not afraid to sit at the table. I don't care if it's the CEO. He is a human being just like I am. I will sit next to him because I feel like when you start the conversation, you don't have to talk about work. Once you start talking about family, their children, the whole environment changes. And that's what I do with my employees. I know that for me, my strength is not empathy. I know that. And all my people know that, and all my teams know that. I'm about, if you need my help, tell me what it is, and let me go get you the solution and help you with that solution. I've been training them to come with some solutions, and then I'll guide you. I have a team, so I know that. So in our workplace, everybody had to take that strength finders, and we have it on the public drive, and everybody's name is listed and what your top 5 is or are. And so I find my team. So if you need empathy, I have somebody. Just isn't me. I'll bring them. And one of my supervisors, she will hug and rub and cry with you. I bring her in because I need that help. I know that's not my strength. I want to resolve it and let's move on. And that's I think that overall, the way you come to the table. I had this one employee that they told me, this is the cancer. You need to focus on getting rid of her. She's now my team coordinator. And I'm like, people, it's how you work with them and how you talk to them that get them to be strength. She was not being challenged. They said that she walked around and gossiped all day long. I gave her so much work, she had no time. But that's from learning them and spending time with them and not just putting them in this box. And so I think that's what helps my self-awareness, keeps me going when I walk in the morning. And I don't just sit in my office, I go desk to desk and say hi. They know I'm going to walk the floor. And if by 9 o'clock I haven't been on the floor, people are Skyping me, where are you? Are you here today? But that's what I do.
That's good. That's good. Yes, ma'am.
Can I add to that? Because what Beverly really said was that she was a relationship builder, right? You know what I mean? And just to strength finders, if you don't know, that's it's an assessment that you take, that helps you determine what your top strengths will be. But you said a term, sponsorship, and I don't know if people realize the power of relationship building and how that adds value in terms of building a sponsorship lifestyle. And so a sponsor essentially is a person that will walk you through a door that maybe you didn't know that you were going to walk through, right? That's a person who may advocate for you because of your skills, your talents, not because they like you, maybe because they like you, but definitely because of your skills, your talents, and what you bring. And that's really different from a mentor, right? A mentor is somebody who, they're going to give you some tough advice. My mentor, I was like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go. She was like, you need health insurance. I was like, you absolutely correct. I am so sorry, right? And that's very different from a sponsor who is like, okay, so I put your name in the hat for this job because I think that you would be a good fit. And I'm going to use my influence to help get you that job. And I think that when I learned that you needed to have mentors and sponsors, I was like, game on. I'm built, and that's where that relationship building piece comes in. The fact that you are talking to everybody that you work with. I talk to everybody, every student, every person in that office every single solitary day, because I recognize that I am also a mentor and a sponsor. And so as much as I want that relationship, I know that other people need that relationship too. So I'm always looking at, okay, well, what's my next move? What does that look like? Who can walk through these doors with me, and who's going to help me walk through those doors? So there's a lot to say about sponsorship and mentorship and what that means. And just another thing about a mentor, every mentor that I have had has come to me and said, I want to mentor you. It's not about asking somebody, can you be my mentor? Because you do that out the blue. They don't even know you sometimes. And so it's about letting that person say, you know what, I see this in you. Let me mentor you. And that happened to me at a conference. I was at a conference, and I just went to a dinner. And out of that dinner, I got a person who's like, I'm going to email you. I'm going to text you every Monday to make sure you're on track with your degree, to make sure you're. And those are the type of relationships that are built out of relationship building.
That is so good. I'm so glad you touched on the difference between a sponsor and a mentor. And Kenitha, you want to say?
Just really, really fast, because when you find those individuals that are in your life, those are the people that will hold you accountable. That's right. And oftentimes, we don't want to be held accountable. We want to be all over the place, want to be all willy-nilly and just all over the place. But a sponsor and a good mentor will hold you accountable. Did you do this today? Yes. Did you do that today? They will call you when you see their name come up on your phone. You don't even want to answer, because you know that they're going to be pushing you. But oftentimes it takes that. I can recall early in my career, I didn't choose HR. HR chose me. And in saying that, I applied for one position and got it. It just happened that there was a person there who saw something in me, who selected me. I didn't even know what was in me myself. And I got to the point where he said, you know what, you really need to go back to school, because you're never going to get where you need to be. And I can't help you get there until you do this. So he, number one, was made me accountable, but then he pushed me and incented me, because he said that when you get your degree, I'm going to promote you. Really? Well, guess what? When I got my degree, he promoted me. And not only did he promote me once, he promoted me twice. So he was my mentor when I didn't even choose him as a mentor. He chose me. He saw that was in me that I didn't even know was in me myself. And not only did he do that, he started to say, you act like a manager, you think like a manager, you're doing this and you're doing that. But I can't do this until you do this. Which was amazing for me, because then it just opened a whole nother realm for me to not only get in HR, but to go to school for HR, then to be able to pull people along, to be that indirect mentor, for other people, or that indirect sponsor for others. Because of somebody doing it to me, I wanted to give it back in some way, shape, or form. Because if your hand is always like this, nothing ever goes in. So we have to keep that hand open where we can give out.
That is so good. That is so good. Yep.
That is so important. So I just want to touch base on one thing that Ann said about mentors. One thing that I want you all to remember is that there's different types of mentors. A lot of times I'm looking at situational mentors. So I've got a particular issue that I need to deal with, and I know exactly who I need to call to get the answer, right?
That's good.
So pick up the phone. Don't be shy. Ask for help, and ask probably one or two people just to get, gauge what you think you should do before making a decision. So just keep that in mind. A mentor doesn't have to be a lifelong relationship. It can definitely be situational as well. So
that's good.
And I think it's because people are in your life for a time, reason, and season.
Yes.
Everybody is not coming in your life to stay in your life forever. So you get what you need from each person along the way, and be able to find, like the network that we're building today, or the collaboration we're bringing today. Trina knew all of us and working with us, and guess we're all here, right? Because of the network that she's built along the way. So we have to recognize why people are in your life, and don't try to hold on to people when it's time for them to go. Let them go. You've got what you needed from them. They got what they needed from you. Okay, so now it's time to move to the next person and get what you need from them.
That's good. That is really important to know. So I hope you guys are well, let me just ask. Do you guys have a mentor or a coach or a sponsor currently? Anybody have one or more Okay. Are you now a mentor or a sponsor or a coach or advocating for anybody? Are you doing that for somebody? Okay, that is awesome. But I want to encourage you guys, find somebody you can talk to. Find somebody. Sometimes as leaders, and I'm going to talk about women leaders in a little bit. I know time is clicking down, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions. But it is so important. As women, I think our natural inclination is just to give, to serve, to help, to try to fix. You know, we're trying to do so many things for so many different people, and we don't realize that, you know, this is our bucket, and we're pouring out for everybody. And as what we have, our energy, time, whatever it is, as it's being depleted, we have to be intentional about being filled back up.
Yes.
You cannot serve anybody from an empty vessel. You can't.
Exactly right.
And I have found that when I've tried to do it, now I can't even walk in love because I'm tired. You know, I'm serious. You know, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm frustrated. What do you want now? That's not how we need to deal with God's people. You know, whether they know him yet or not, they all matter to him. And if we can't be light, we can't be salt, we can't be loving, the enemy will use that to continue to keep them at bay and keep them away from connecting with the Christ that we know can change their lives. So it's really important. So that'll be an action item for you guys. If you don't have somebody, pray and ask God. Bring somebody. You know, I have people that I call my virtual mentors. They don't know me.
Yes.
They don't know me at all. But I follow them online. I read everything they write. I read their blogs. I read their books. I listen to their podcasts when they're being interviewed. I'm listening and I'm gleaning, and they wouldn't know me from Adam, but they are blessing me and pouring into my life. They are, and they don't even know it. So I would encourage you guys, ask God to bring somebody into your life, and if it winds up being a virtual mentor initially, that's okay. Get what you can get, but make sure that you are filling yourself back up so that we can serve and love God's people.
Can I add?
Ooh wee, that was hot. All right.
Just one thing. So two quick things. Courtney, to your point, can I just ask a quick question? How many folks in here have a long commute to work and they have to drive? Or not just a long commute? If you could raise your hand.
Okay. A few
Okay.
people.
All right. Do you use that time in the morning and then in the evening to learn?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I've changed my road rage into a university, a spiritual university. In the morning, that's all I'm listening to. Like, okay, what's going to feed my soul so that when I get to work, I can be strong for me and for my team and for the organization.
Amen.
The other thing is, Beverly talked about, you know, when you're in the room and you were sitting at that table with the CEO or anybody who's above your pay grade, just remember, a lot of those folks are not getting honest communication. So it is refreshing for them to hear honest communication from you. Some folks may not want it, and you'll be able to gauge who's not really aware. But for the most part, that's one of the things that they crave because they're not necessarily always getting that. So just keep that in mind.
That's a good nugget. I hope you guys are grabbing on.
Oh, it's working. Hot, but it's red. That's why. So the only thing that I want to add is that when you don't be afraid if that person that you talk to is a therapist. Because one of the first things that I did, well, maybe like the fifth, but I found a therapist. And I engaged in a therapeutic relationship, and I have. Ever since I went to college, I stepped on the campus like, I can't be right for anyone else unless I am right for myself. Yes. And so, and I think that people, you know, so I have like a village and the people that I talk to, but my therapist, she the homie, okay? Because I could walk in there and I could say, okay, look, this is what I need to talk about today. And it's a different relationship, but that is where I go so that I'm not like, okay, is something wrong with, like, what is going on? Why am I feeling this way? And I think entering into a counseling relationship will just help with balance. And it's okay. It is okay. And I think that especially in a career, as you are trying to climb a ladder, it is absolutely awesome to have someone that is in that therapeutic. And I can't say enough about people wanting to seek counseling. And I've done it for like 3 years. And everybody know every other Monday I'm going to leave work and I'm going to see you want me to do that. Let me just say, you want me to do that because I can't give to you what I ain't got.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Just really fast. I heard Nikita talking about how you, in the morning when you're commuting and that kind of thing, and it's amazing to be able to do that, to either worship in the morning or just feel your spirit in the morning, because the Word of God tells us that faith comes by hearing. And all the stuff that we are hearing on our way, it's building our faith, it's building us as we're going forward. So we have to build ourselves. And if we don't build us, nobody else will. Because you're right, as women, we pour out daily. Yes. Husband, or children, grandchildren, work, stress, gym, name it, it's on the things that we do. So unless we fill ourselves up with the Word, fill ourselves with faith, by what we hear and then what we're going to start giving out, then we're going to be empty. It's really, I don't know about you, but it's really hard for me to pray when I'm in that place of emptiness. It's hard for me to make a connection. When I go before God, I want to be able to get to him quickly. Because 9 times when I'm going, God, look, this is a 911, God. I need you to hear me quickly. And I don't want to have to fight through stress, depression, what you did to me. You're talking about me. You don't like me. I don't want to have to fight through any of that. I want to be able to come boldly to the throne and make that connection quickly. So I have to fill myself up. And part of the way I do that is in the morning. Whether it's worshiping, how many driving down the street and everybody looking at you like, that woman gone. She gone. You said
you catch them looking at you, they sound like, okay.
Right.
You sit in your car, oh, sorry.
That is so true. You have to know what works for you, right? What works for us might not work for you, but know what you need. Know what energizes you.
Yeah.
Know what drains you so you can do less of that and do more of the stuff that energizes you. So, at this point, does anybody have any questions? Have you been writing down your questions? Can we open it up? Is it okay? Okay. Can you step to the mic, please? We'd love to hear.
I have to say, I want to jump out of my seat. For me being here, this is a big deal. I always grew up as a shy individual. And right now I'm getting so anxious or excited.
It's okay. We love you. We love you.
But I have to explode. What you all are talking about lets me know it's a confirmation that I'm on the right path. And I only say that because everything you spoke about, I want to do cartwheels here. But I worked for millionaires. They are millionaires. A husband and wife own a $1 million dental office in Bolingbrook. And I was there for 13 years. Miserable for 13 years. And I am a wife, I am a mother, and my background has always been in the beauty industry. So makeup, hair, fashion, that's all I've ever done. I left that for 13 long years because no one told me that I could be a wife and a mother and still have my career and still be me. Nobody told me that. So I left that. And after working for these millionaires, you all spoke on everything. I don't even have time. But I had the intimidation factor that I dealt with at this dental office. Intimidated because they're millionaires and they treat people terribly. So I endured. And in being there, I lost who I was because I felt like if I used my voice, if I disagreed or what have you, then, I'd be out of a job. Not knowing that who I am is enough. That's right. Didn't realize that. Right. And so I dealt with that and further lost and became somebody that I shouldn't have been in the first place just to get by, and not have to be on the radar of a problem employee. 2014 came, and I had been asking, can I please, because I like dealing with people. I like to help. I like to serve. I have to do it. And so in 2014, I had asked the dentist if I could, try my hand at something different. I kept hearing no, no. So in 2014, I heard my last no. I went back to school and became a massage therapist, went right back and became an esthetician, and went right back and became an aesthetics instructor.
Good for you.
And so then, oh my gosh, my husband was a part of this church when we first met, and this all makes sense. My husband was a part of this church at the main campus. And when I met him, he had asked me, can you be with my Jesus? Something how he phrased it. And I'm like, I guess so, because I like you. You cute. So, sure. Yeah. And so, but we were gone for a while. We came back, and we came back here. And he knows Pastor Jackson. He knows Pastor Fiona and a few other of the members here. And so when I got here, after being here for a while, and Minister Trina asked me to be a part of the Gracious Women's Ministry, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is what I've been wanting to do, but is it time? Do I want to? So I just said yes, why not? So that day I met with her, we prayed that I would be able to leave that dental office. That Saturday, we prayed on the Sunday. That Saturday, I got the call to come work at this school that I'm working at to teach young girls how to become, that same week, how to become estheticians. So everything you all are talking about is what I'm doing with them. So I found my way. It's the back way. I left it for 13 years and was able to get back in another way. So I'm not the one that's out doing necessarily the work and the services, but I have such a passion for these young girls, and I always tell them, you only have who you are. You need to be mindful of that and keep it classy and care about what you talk about and who you are. Just, you have to have pride in the fact that you are God's creation. And so it's, gosh, it's so important to me. And the willy-nilly she talked about, I talk to them about that all the time. And I'm just like, God, just sit right here, let me know I'm in the right place. Oh my gosh.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
What's your name? I'm sorry, what's your name?
Thank you.
What is her name?
Kim.
Kim. Oh, that's my sister's name. Kim, thank you so much for that comment. I just want to add something that you brought up that I think is important for us to bring awareness to, especially as women, and even more importantly, as women of color. It's called microaggressions. Okay, so in the workplace, you are getting picked on, little things here and there. It might be side comments, it might be a look, it could be anything, but you're going to experience it. If you haven't already, you will experience it at some point in time. Understand that it's not about you.
Yep.
You are fine. The other person has an issue. It could be an issue with your gender, or it could be an issue with your gender and race. But understand that those are things that we as leaders, and I'm sure pretty much everybody in this room has had to deal with at one time or another. It's not you. And make sure that you have a support system, hopefully somebody or a few people at work and a few people outside of work.
Yes.
If you need to talk about something that can't be talked about at work because it's confidential. Make sure you have your support group. And also look for allies in the workplace when it comes to those microaggressions so that they can speak on your behalf. Because a lot of times, the way that our society is set up is that we can't always advocate for ourselves, but we should always have somebody who can advocate on our behalf.
That's good.
And we should always be advocating on each other's behalf. It's so important. The other thing I wanted to mention that Kim brought up is faith. Walk in your faith. Walk in it. Roll around in it. Swim in it. If you want to do something different, do it. Make sure that you're doing it, though, with God's eye on your plan.
Yes.
So,
I just want to give man, that's the testimony. You know what? And let me just say that God will bless that because he asked you to do it. So when I decided I was going to not use my MBA in that way and go back to school, I said, you know what? I'm just going to give up everything in this house. And Lord, I'm going to go sleep on my friend's couch in Wisconsin. And until I get a career counseling position, because that's what I believe you've called me to do, I'm not going to do anything else. And I did. I gave up everything. Like a few boxes was left. And you know, when you tell people everything in your house is free, they there in like 2 days. You don't have to move for nothing, okay? And when I did that, that one act of faith, one act, within like 3 months, I had a job. Everything that I had given away, I received again. And God will give you those constant reminders that what the path that he has set you on is the path that you should be pursuing. And I was reminded of that the other day. So this book this children's book that I wrote and published, in the mail one day, I got a royalty check. And I was like, it was my reminder from God that what he told me to do, he will always provide. I will always. If I told you to do it and you did it, you ain't even got to worry. Checks will come in the mail for you.
Yeah, I believe it.
And just, man, that what you said reminded me, and hopefully that encouraged other people in the audience to just know that if he set your hand to it, do it in excellence, and he will bless that.
Amen. Just one thing. I know that many of us are in fields and we're in things where we're very comfortable, but God will push us into that uncomfortable place because we'll allow the thief of procrastination to hold us down. And as long as we procrastinated, the enemy is right there. And he will stick your feet in the mud where you are not going to move. So God will cause things to get a little bit uncomfortable for you. You don't like the place no more. They seem to be just coming against you all the time. Because now it's to the point, it's like either you're going to do what I've called you to do, or you're going to be uncomfortable. Which one are you going to do? Whose report are you going to believe? What are you going to do? I'm also coming to understand that as things are coming to us, 10% of what we deal with is life. It's going to happen. But 90% of it is how we react to it. What we do about it. How we're going to move forward in it. Life is going to happen. As long as you live, things are going to happen. They just are. As long as breath is in your body, things are just going to happen. But at the same, how do you react to it? Do you take it in faith? Do you take it in stride? Do you take it in obedience? Do you take it in disobedience? How do you deal with that thing? How do you react to it? Do you talk about it? Do you tell your friend about it when you know your friend really can't help you with that? Because you know it's really God that's telling you. Because your friend really want to help you. And then, but they see the hand of God on you. It's like, you know what, girl, look here. I can't be fooled around with that because I know that's God. As much as they want to help you, they really can't. Because it's God that's pulling you, and it's God that's drawing you. It's God that's pushing you out of your familiarity and pushing you into the things of Him.
Amen. Wow. I'm like, now, wait a minute. You don't know me like that to be talking about my stuff like that. But seriously, I found myself in that situation, procrastinating, scared to mess up, scared to make a mistake, scared to look foolish, scared to step out, but all the while getting more and more uncomfortable, being miserable and making everybody around me like, oh my goodness, what's wrong with her? Oh, my goodness. Any other questions? Comments? Yes, ma'am. Step on up to the mic, please.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So I came here on a walk of faith, I guess you could say.
And what's your name? What's your name?
Oh, Tia. Tia. Good morning. I absolutely love this group, and you will definitely be seeing me here more often. Yes. So thank you for the welcome. So my question is, how to go about developing leadership skills when there is no opportunity in the workplace? And secondly, how can I help create a better culture from the bottom up when leadership is not open to doing that?
That is really good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So there's always opportunity everywhere. Again, part of it's walking in faith and not looking so much at an issue, but looking at opportunities. Mm-hmm. There's always opportunities. You don't necessarily need to lead a group. Right. You can lead a process. Yes. You can lead a project. Right. Yes. I don't care how small it is. Yes. Do it. And if you still don't see anything in your current situation, change your situation. Change your situation. And that's as far as helping you to build those leadership skills. When you do decide to take on a project, again, make sure that you find yourself a mentor or somebody, preferably in the organization that understands the culture, that can help navigate you. So that navigate you to success. You're going to do the work, but you want somebody to look ahead and say, you know what, there's a pitfall right there. I need you to go this way a little bit, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then what was your second question?
How to go about creating a change in the culture from the bottom up.
Right. So changing the culture, that is a very challenging, but not impossible. It's challenging, but not impossible. And one of the things that you can do is look for the influencers in your organization. So the people who have a lot of power doesn't necessarily mean that they have a lot of influence. They don't have to necessarily have a particular position power, but they still get the word out. They can move, make things happen. Right. If you want to start making those cultural changes, talk to them first, get them on board, and then start to work your way out from that perspective.
Okay, so we've tried
leverage.
We've tried to do that.
Yeah.
There's just the very top is very inflexible.
Ah, okay. And is the very top near retirement?
No, I believe they retired already. And they're just giving back.
They retire on the job.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of like coasting through?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so that one I don't necessarily have an answer for, except maybe it might be time to look for something different.
I was about to say,
exactly right.
you know, and that was that level of being uncomfortable in a situation. And I would echo, yes, there's absolutely, so you can change the environment just by your very presence, right? And while you're looking for another opportunity, because I am a firm believer that every job, you may have gotten all that you need to get, and now you need to get somewhere else, right? Or provide you need something to get, because when you start to feel that like, okay, I'm not gonna, maybe there's something else that you need that's at another workplace. And in terms of building leadership skills and just building capacity in yourself, I tell people, think about the people, places, and things around you. What are you listening to? What type of things, like podcasts? Courtney mentioned podcast. I'm a huge podcast, and I choose career-related podcasts. Think and Grow Rich, like things that are going to edify me and help push me. And so I would encourage you to think about like the stuff that you read. Like I'm adamant about reading books and building capacity in myself that way, and challenging myself to say, okay, what are my deficiencies? What are my weaknesses? And what are my strengths? And how can I build on those strengths? What do I need to do to build on those weaknesses? What do I need to do? And what types of things that are free? Because there's a lot of stuff that's free. And then, what things do I need to use to make an investment in myself? And I think that some people, I think that there's this thought like, okay, just give me. Sometimes you just have to invest in yourself. And so, when I go to conference, I work for the state of Illinois. And when I go for conferences and stuff, I had to pay for myself to go. And it was not cheap. But I made the sacrifice because that is my growth. That is my development. And if nobody else is worth it, I'm worth it. And so think about what things you can do to invest in your own development and growth. Okay? I learned a lot from those types of experiences and opportunities. And I also want to encourage you, if you've not done it, write your vision. What is God telling you to do? Because when you're building these skills, why are you building them? And without the plan ahead. That plan is critical, I think, to helping you. So write the vision, make a plan, and then run. Like go and do it, right? So and I just want to say that. Amen.
All right.
Kenitha?
Tia, it's very possible that you're trying to change your culture that you don't belong to. And when you're dealing with upper level managers, they're the ones who really need to make that change.
Right.
And it needs to then flow down, even, how the scripture had. So we know that, right? So maybe you're trying to change something that really has absolutely nothing to do with you. And maybe it's time to look elsewhere because of what you know that you're capable of bringing to the table. What you're capable, or what you know your vision is, or what you know your direction is, or where you know that your goals have been. And I don't know if you journal, but
Yes.
But you need to start, that prophetic side start coming out. You need to start journaling some things, because what you're going to do is look back in a short period of time and really realize, you know what, I think this was a push for me to move. Because this may not be where you need to be, but don't become so complacent that I want to change down here where you really need to be changing up here. Because your sphere of influence is only really here.
Yeah.
They're really the ones that need to change it. And if they're not willing, ready, and able to change it, you can do all you want to do down here. You can help yourself and improve yourself and grow in you and the podcast and the things that we do for us. But if that culture, if that organization is not ready, and I say this from an HR perspective because I've been in it. So if that culture is not ready, you're banging your head against the wall. So then you're going to think, like, if I keep hitting long enough, like, look here, it's going to start hurting around here. So I got to stop banging my head against the wall and realize that these people are happy where they are comfortable where they are complacent where they are, and I'm going to go ahead and do what's best for Tia. And then move on.
Amen.
That's good. That's good.
One last thing I want to add to that, Tia, is this. Ann brought up the thing about visioning or creating your vision. I would highly recommend, this is a tactical, this is a to-do for you. Write that vision down on paper. Look at it every single day. Yes. And that will help you, it'll do a couple of things. So it'll help you clear your mind, because, a lot of times we end up worrying and we can't figure out why we can't move forward because we're filled with worry. And that's where our focus is versus on the goal. So write that vision down. Look at that vision every day. If you pray, pray. If you meditate, meditate. But read that vision every morning before you do any of that. And then that will help you to focus and move forward to where you want to go.
And I'm just going to add the last thing. When you write that vision down and you see it every day, it's amazing how the fear leaves.
Yes. Comes a part of you.
It leaves you. Yeah. And then you get so confident and so bold, you will step out.
I have one more suggestion. Oh, go ahead.
Have a place. When you focus on that vision, you're going to be like, worry who? Worry what? That's right. I'm walking in faith.
Amen.
I wanted to just add another thing for you to consider with respect to building your leadership skills. I have come to find out that there is an association for absolutely any and every interest that you could have. So an option might be to consider joining and being actively involved in an association that is related to what you really want to be doing. It may not be related to what your job is currently, but something that's related to what you really want to be doing. And get involved on a committee, lead a committee, take a leadership role, and that doesn't cost you anything but whatever the membership fee might be. And that would be another way for you to start to develop in your leadership skills. And that stays with you wherever you go.
Well, because, the enemy doesn't fight you where you are. The enemy fights you where you're
Where
going.
you're trying to go.
So that's why it's going to be important that you determine where is it that you're trying to go, so that you'll set those things in motion to get there. That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Did we help you? Did we answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we have time for maybe another question. One more. Anybody? Anybody? Going once? All right.
I just wanted to share something that Anne-Marie had brought up. It's kind of, well, let me just share. You had talked about you go to a counselor, a therapist. And I think it was just so good that you brought that up, because it's so taboo from a cultural standpoint for us.
That's true.
I'm not a millennial, far from it. I don't know if that's something that millennials, gravitate a lot easier than maybe my generation does. But, I remember that was something that I had to do at one point in my life, due to something that took place at my workplace. I had to take care of that for self-care. I had a stalker at my workplace. My workplace made me go to see a counselor. I didn't want to do it. I had to go kicking and screaming. They paid for it. It was not something that I had to pay for. And I was upset it wasn't my pastor. I'm like, no, I'm not going to go see it because it was very taboo. From a cultural standpoint, I thought it was very taboo. And I thought, okay, I'll go, but it better be a Christian counselor. I'm going to pick it, and it better be a Christian counselor. I went, I was like this. But when I went, had my arms crossed, and I listened. And once I was able to let my guard down with a Christian counselor, and I listened, and I was able to receive from a godly perspective, and I could listen and heed what they were trying to tell me as to what had transpired. And I was able to receive what they had to share with me, not knowing what had happened to me. I was able to go ahead and to move forward and to go ahead and walk out what they were telling me to do. I was able to move forward in my job and move forward in life. It was something that I thought, boy, everybody need to go to a counselor. You know what I'm saying? It was very healthy. It was healthy for me to receive that. And I thought, this is very, very insightful. This is good. And I thought that was good for you to share with us today, that it's not voodoo for us to go. And I hope that you all could receive what she had to share with us and going to see a counselor, because I know coming up, I hope that you can understand what I'm saying, that when I was coming up, no, I'm not going to see a counselor. Don't tell nobody you went to see a counselor, because I remember, I was ashamed. No, I'm not going to see a counselor. No, I'm not going. I'm not going to see a counselor. So I thought that was very good for you to share, that self-care is very important for us, to take care of us, to make sure we're healthy first. From a cultural standpoint, that was very, very good for you to share with us. And I wanted to say thank you for sharing with us. As professionals, as Christians, it was very, very good for you to share with us that self-care first. God wants us to have our temple healthy and strong in order for us to move forward in what God has for us to move forward for His sake, to help everybody else. So thank you so much for that.
Amen. Amen. Well, ladies, our time is winding down. This has really been good. Did you get anything out of it today? Did you get anything? That's awesome. And Sister Patrice, we want to just say thank you for your comments just now. You said something that spoke to me, and that was when you dropped your guard and you decided to be open. I hope that every one of us here can be open to what God is bringing. God works through people. And His ways and His thoughts are much higher than ours. And sometimes our initial reaction is to shut off what's coming, because it comes in a way we didn't expect. It comes through a person that may not be our cup of tea, but just be open. So that's a key thing I hope you guys walk away with, just to be open to what the Holy Spirit is doing. I want to thank you, ladies, for sharing your wisdom with us today. Anne Marie, Beverly, Nikita, Kanitha, thank you so much. And thank you. Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Trina.
Amen. Come on, let's give the ladies one more hand. Thank you so much for coming out and being a part. I'm going to ask this panel and the ministers, if you would please wait for just 1 minute after the service, because we want the photographer to get photos. So please wait for just 1 minute. I also want to say thank you for coming out and being a part